Hello everyone, my name is Harshdeep Singh.
Hello, Professor. My name is Ray Patel.
Hello, Professor. My name is Dumil Patel.
Hello, Professor. My name is Jil Patel.
Hi, myself Sanjoli.
Hello everyone, today we will be presenting our analysis of education inequality in Canada, which looks at multiple dimensions. So our basic goal was to understand how trends look over time and across Canadian regions. We basically used visual analytics in the platform Tableau to explore these relationships, and we will be walking through all the findings by different dashboards made by me and my team members. So let's move to the first dashboard. So basically, this dashboard looks at the average education years in Canada by gender, region, and wealth category. Starting with the gender, we can see in the pie chart, there is a slightly higher average education years as compared to females rather than males. So as we see in the middle line chart, we see the number of individuals across wealth categories showing a very uneven wealth distribution. Finally, the bar chart compares regions where education years are fairly consistent across provinces. Overall, this dashboard suggests only small gender and regional differences, but a major imbalance can be seen in the wealth distribution. So let's move to the second dashboard. This dashboard looks at the trends in average education years over time, in which we considered both wealth status and location. In the top left, we can see the stacked area chart, which shows education years by wealth that are quantiled from the year 2009 to 2020. So the chart below that tracks the numerical averages from each year that shows relatively stable education duration over time. On the right side, we can see that the comparison by location that only reveals a slight difference between the averages of rural and urban areas. That shows only a minimal impact on education years. So that's all about me. The next dashboard will be presented by another team member. Thank you.
So this dashboard present the analytics of the education inequality in Canada. The first chart shows the number of people across the gender, highlighting the male are more represented than the female, with the 1,318 male compared to the 519 female. The second chart study access to higher education by income level. We can see that individuals with the higher income have a slightly better access, while those who has a less income face difficulties. So the third chart focus on the access to higher education across the gender. Here, who notice that more male have access compared to the female, while the number of female with access to slightly higher. Overall, the dashboard highlight the gender and income both in uh, access to higher education, with the male and higher income group have an advantage. Move to the next dashboard. Yeah. So this dashboard present an analytics of education inequality in Canada by region, income, and funding status. Starting with the map on the left side, so we can see that the average education years vary slightly across the province. For example, Manitoba lead with the 9.48 year, while British Columbia is lower at the 6.68 year. In the middle chart, when comparing income group, higher income individual average across the 9.55 year of the education, while low and the middle income group are slightly lower, showing at some minor gap. Finally, the chart bar on the right compare funding status. Student on the scholarship average about 9.15 year, while self-funded student have 9.04 year. Indicate the funding type is likely similar. So overall, the data showing small difference between the groups, but nothing too big. So the next slide will explained by my teammate Drumil.
Hello, everyone. Today I will talk about my analysis. So on the left side, we can see that the average graduation rate based on the funding status, the rates for the scholarship students and the self-funded students are very close to each other, which means the funding time doesn't have any big effect on the graduation rates. On the top right, we have a graduation rates for people with and without the access to higher education. The difference is a very small, around 77% of for the both groups. At the bottom, we see the graduation rate by gender. The female have an average rates of the 76.89, and the males are 77.30%, which is also almost the same amount. Overall, the decimal show the graduation rates are nearly equal to across the genders and all. Now move to the next one. Here we are looking at the graduation rates and the education years based on the families, structures, and income levels. On the left, we see the average graduation rate for joint family and nuclear families. The rates are very close. On the top right, the pie chart show that the average years of education for each family types. Nuclear families have a slightly higher education years at around the 9.5 year compared to the 9.6 for the joint families. At the bottom, the chart show the graduation rates by income level. Again, the difference are very small with a high, low, and the middle income groups are all around the 77%. Overall, this dashboard tells us the family structure and the income levels have a very little impact on a graduation rate or a years of the education. Now, Jill will.
Hello, Professor. My name is Joel. From here, I will represent the dashboard. So here we can see the average graduation rate across the education level. So my name is Joel. From here, I will represent the dashboard. So the top left chart is showing the average graduation rate across the education level. The at the end of the primary school, the average graduation rate is a 76.99%, and at the end of the lower secondary school, it's a 76.99%. So the difference between these two is less than a 1%. So suggesting that the most students who complete a primary schools also go on a finish lower secondary school. The top right shows the average graduation rate across the gender and education level. The diamond shape shows a male and female rates side by side for each education stage. The shapes are almost overlapping, which means there's no significant gender gap in a graduation rates for either primary or a lower secondary education. So that reflects gender parity in a Canadian graduation outcomes. The bottom one, it shows the average graduation rate across the location. So rural area is a 77.57 54%, and the urban area is a 77.10%. So the difference is just a 0.4%, so which is negligible. So this indicates that the geographic location doesn't have a major effect on a graduation success in a Canada. Can you please move on to the next one? So that the top right chart, like the top chart shows the average graduation rate for each province. So most provinces are between about 75% and 78%. The map shows the color shows the graduation rates by region. Green means higher rates, red pink means lower rates. For example, Newfoundland and Labrador has 77.93%, and Saskatchewan has a 75.36%. The bottom right chart shows the graduation rate over the years. The line is almost flat, meaning rates have not changed much over time. So, like comforts the visual, graduation rates have been stable over time with a small region difference. From here, the next member will continue.
Hi, so I will talk about the education inequality in Canada from three angles. So first, the graduation rate across wealth unitly are almost identical between 76.8% and 77.8%, showing little impact from wealth status. Second, nuclear families show higher across to higher education compared to joint families, with counts near 700 versus lower numbers for joint families. Lastly, self-funded students are more likely to lack access than those with scholarship, highlighting the importance of financial support. So the overall graduation rates are stable across incomes, but funding and family structure have a stronger influence on higher education access. Next slide. This dashboard examines education inequality in Canada by location, gender, income, and wealth. So the urban areas have higher counts for both males and females compared to rural areas. Low income urban residents lead in higher education assessed at 743, followed by high income urban residents at 418, while rural areas, especially high income groups, have the lowest assess. And the wealth status is similar across joint and nuclear families, showing little influence from family type. So, the overall urban areas dominate in assess with low income and urban populations showing unexpectedly high participation, while rural areas lag across income. So, the next slide, the closing summary. So, I will summarize this. Graduation rates and education years in Canada are relatively consistent across gender, income, family structure, and location. Funding and income have some influence on higher education access, but less on graduation rates. Urban areas have more representation, but rural urban gaps in graduation rates are minimal. The most notable inequalities appear in wealth distribution and in certain regions like Prince Edward Island, where average education years are significantly lower. This suggests that while Canada education's outcomes are stable and equitable in many respects, targeted interventions could focus on low representations wealth groups and specific reasons to further reduce disparities. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.